Hey, writers, welcome back to the Writers Room. Happy June. This is so exciting. I always think of the beginning of summer, if you're watching this when it comes out, as such a powerful time of creative genius, inspiration, sort of like everything opens up, right? We get the longest day of the year this month. We have so much access to sort of an expansion energy, more light, more freedom. Sometimes we have different work schedules. So whatever June is looking like for you, my invitation is to take the journey together with me, with us, with this community, and let this be an explosion of creativity. Today, we're going to talk about setting an audacious goal. We're going to talk about setting, you could hear these described as a stretch goal, as a push goal. There's all these words coaches and experts use to talk about goal setting. Why are we talking about goal setting on our month of creative explosion? Well, a lot of times there's many studies that show that if we vaguely have a sense of what we want to do, we have about 20% likelihood of achieving it. So it's like, I want to make progress on my writing this month, which is great. It's good to want to make progress on our writing, but that lacks all the things, whether you're into SMART goals or push goals or whatever, it lacks any real clarity on how you'll know, right? How will you know you've made progress? Yes, if you do any writing, you could say, yes, A plus, like I fulfilled it. But it doesn't give us, a lot to grab onto, right? Versus if we said, I want to write 500 words a day in June, no matter what, 500 words a day, 7 days a week, then we're really clear on if we've achieved that goal or not. We find some way to calculate it on our phones, or we keep a written record. We track our progress. We look at a word count in a new document that we open, and we can be super clear if we've generated 500 times 30 days worth of writing, right? So what I'm going to invite us to do is think about not a totally unrealistic goal that you'll give up on in 2 days, right? Like, I'm going to write my whole book and revise it and get it published in 30 days. Like, that's, I mean, you can if you just put it up on Amazon, but it's not usually people that are in this community what our goal is, right? So what is that goal? Let's close our eyes, take some deep breaths, let your jaw soften, let your shoulders drop down, and just feel into your heart. Like, what would have you at the end of June sending me an email and saying, you know what, this is weird to say, but I'm so freaking proud of myself. I did X, right? And you can pause this video and just rewrite for a little bit and just really feel into, is it a writing goal? Is it an income goal? Is it, something about, getting on a certain number of podcasts to talk about your writing, speaking? What is that goal that would have you be really empowered? So what we're going for here is something you wouldn't have done or done to the extent if you weren't in this community doing writer's room and setting a goal, right? So it's a stretch, right? If you just status quo or like, yeah, I'd probably crank out, like I'd write 4 days a week for half an hour. So that's not your goal. Like, that's your base. And then you're going to set a goal on top of that. So maybe it's 4 days a week for an hour instead of 30 minutes. Or again, it's a word count, or it's a certain number of outreaches. You're going to pitch 50 podcasts. So you can go on and talk about your book, your work, your mission, right? So pause the video, put 5 minutes on your timer on your phone and say, all right, I got 5 minutes. I'm going to just really feel into what's something I wouldn't have done to this extent if I wasn't in this group working together in a community, but something that I really can commit to for the whole month, right? It may be just, you're going to finish a draft of something you've been sort of dragging on for a while, or you're going to set up your writer's website. Like, just what's one thing you wouldn't have done otherwise if you weren't listening to this today, but that it's a stretch, but you really could see yourself potentially possibly doing it, right? So the first step is to just define it, get clear on what it is. Then we're going to align our mindset to success, because the minute you set that goal, you're going to feel maybe excited, like, oh, that would feel so good on June 30th to know I did X. But then, of course, what's going to happen? Gremlins are going to come and tell you, oh, you've set goals before and you haven't achieved them, and you blah, blah, you don't follow through, or you have a busy month, or what's the point? And you're just going to go watch Netflix. Okay. So Really, let's do this. In Thought Leader Academy, we are doing stretch goals for June. So join us, okay? Join us here. You can send your reply to this email and state your goal. Go in the Facebook group, claim your goal, like make it social, right? The ways to really make sure you achieve a goal. First, you write it down. That jumps you to 80%. Number two, you make it social so people know. You guys know the story of when I just randomly in college was mouthing off at some party and said, I'm running the Chicago Marathon in October. It was May. I was like, whatever. I mean, I had no intention. I had no training. I had no idea. But then all these people started asking me like, oh my God, I heard you're running the marathon. That's really cool. Or my cousin's running it. Like, let me connect you over email and you guys can train, virtually train together over the summer. I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm running this marathon. And yeah, I could have not, but I really did want to run a marathon. I wanted to challenge myself physically to see what that would be like mentally, physically. I missed being in a sport from high school because in college I wasn't in a sport. So it's like, this would give me like an athletic challenge that feels good. And I did run that marathon in October with no plan at the beginning besides just declaring it. And then people started asking me and I was like, oh, I guess I might actually try this. So make it social. Okay. Third is you get support so that you can be accountable. So find someone in this community, or if you have a writing group or a writing buddy, those of you in Thought Leader Academy, you've got your pods and your accountability partners. Make sure you're checking in every day in June. Just do it for 1 month. See what could happen for you. Because here's what I know. Whatever had happened in the past has nothing to do with now. It really doesn't, unless we choose to let it. So if you're someone who makes goals and doesn't set them, this is your breakthrough month. How exciting is that? So if it's a writing goal, a speaking goal, an income goal, that is freaking amazing. All right. I'm so excited for you to set this stretch goal, do it with us, make it social, get some accountability support, and rock this thing so that we can have a celebration on June 30th, virtual celebration to say, wow, like we made a huge leap forward. You deserve it. And the world needs whatever it is that you're being called to create. I'll see you next week.